Splendid. Now open your dish.
What?
George, there's money in here. Oh, good. For a second, I thought they brought you something like chicken toes.
Right. Mm,
All right, I'm ready when you are.
yeah, I know.
No, I know you know, but I'm just telling you again, just so you know some more.
Are we recording? Oh, yeah, we are.
Oh, yeah, we're totally recording.
Video those.
We're recording all up in this biznatch.
Welcome to Star Trek Asterisk, the weekly podcast where we watch Star Trek and then talk about it.
From our newly renovated studio.
I'm Steve. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Steve.
I'm Zach. I renovated the studio.
Hooray! All right, let's show you the studio.
Studio. Ooh, look at our pretty new TV. We finally got with the 21st century and got a flat panel.
Yep. And it's beautiful. Except for this movie, but whatever.
Well, it's the TV itself is beautiful.
Yes.
What we watch on it may not necessarily be. That's our disclaimer.
True. Today we watched Star Trek V, the Final Frontier, and this is. Would you say it's on par, worse, or better than the motion picture?
I would say this is probably just a tiny bit better than the motion picture.
Okay.
Because there were parts of this that I actually did really like.
Yeah.
Like every bit of Scotty's in this was really good.
Yeah, that's true.
But there weren't a lot of Scotty bits in the motion picture. And the motion picture as a whole was just a giant turd.
We'll get to this, but this, I guess we might as well get it out now. But this movie was made specifically because Paramount wanted to reproduce the success of the Journey Home, and Voyage Home, yeah. And as any film buff will tell you, that never works. If you want to recreate the success of something, and that's the only reason you're going to make this movie, that's never going to work. So, except for the fact that a lot of the lightheartedness that we see in this movie is due to the fact that they want to reproduce it, and that's a lot of the best parts of this movie. Scotty going through the corridors and mashing his head against the wall. Spock eating marshmallows, and all that. All the funny stuff is due to the want to recreate the Voyage Home, but the rest of it is what sucked.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because they didn't really care about it. One of the reasons, because they didn't care about it.
Yeah.
Another reason is because they weren't able to get Industrial Light and Magic because they were busy with
they were busy making The Last Crusade. Ooh.
The Last Crusade and Ghostbusters 2. Now I can understand The Last Crusade because that's Indiana Jones, that's George Lucas, that's his baby. ILM, you need to go there. Ghostbusters 2?
Hey buddy, I liked Ghostbusters 2.
No, I mean you gotta choose between Ghostbusters 2 and Star Trek 5. I would go with Star Trek 5. Maybe that's because I'm biased, but
I think you're a little biased, but you got to think. Star Trek was, as far as its fan base, you still had, like, your Trekkies were the ones that were the Star Trek hardcores. Ghostbusters was way bigger on a more, on the popularity scale. Because they had Dan Aykroyd, they had Bill Murray.
Yeah.
They had, and Bill Murray just comes, like, with his whole... He like hitches a trailer of catchphrases behind him. He's got like a whole trailer full, and it's never the same one twice.
Yeah, true. Well, anyway, that's part of what made it bad. I don't remember what company they got to do the special effects, but whatever it was, it didn't work out that well.
No.
They ended up reusing some footage from the Journey Home. They reused some of the effects and just kind of tweaked them from the motion picture, which is the worst thing to reuse from. and it didn't work out.
No, it did not.
I'm trying to think of the plot point, but you know the concept itself, it could have had a lot of potential.
It could have, but it didn't. See, that's the problem.
Yeah, but
It wasn't. It wasn't
I'm trying to think of plot points that didn't work, and I can't really think of any, except for
like the opening scene was just totally unnecessary
for what like
for the whole movie. For
well
him walking up on the guy that looks like Voldemort.
yeah
I mean, he could have just taken him and he could have taken him from like inside the bar or something.
yeah, it kind of introduces Cybok, like,
I guess.
here's your bad guy. I don't know.
Eh. I think it was long and drawn out and unnecessary.
True. I guess it was. I tell you what was unnecessary was the Klingons.
Why were the Klingons even there?
There really wasn't any reason for them. I mean, there was like a bit of suspense that they
Okay,
were
so
there. And
so they killed God and yeah, they have no other usefulness.
yeah, right. Well, that really undermines some things because the Klingons come along. Okay. First of all, the
First of all,
Enterprise.
how the fuck do they get through the Great Barrier? All
Right,
right,
right. Well, I'll get to that too in a minute, but the Enterprise fires some torpedoes at God, and God is kind of disabled, but he's still coming after Kirk.
God in a wheelchair, handicap parking only.
And then the Klingons come along, and Spock and the Klingon ambassador kind of work something out where Spock goes onto the Klingon ship, fires at God, but that undermines Scotty's ability to fix the Enterprise, doesn't it? Because
It kind of does. Like Kirk walks in and says, "This thing isn't done yet," and he's like, "It's been through." Or he's like, "What do you say?" He's like, "You gave me 2 weeks."
yeah.
I was like, "It's been 3." Wow. What happened to our miracle worker?
Yeah, Scotty's just holding it together with Scotch tape at this point.
But to be fair, he was given a turd to polish. So I mean, you can't polish a turd.
I suppose, but it would have been nice for the Klingons not to have been there, and Scotty pulled it together at the last minute. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. Well, he got the transporter pretty much done at the last minute.
Yeah. But it's not
Plus,
enough.
he didn't have a full crew either.
True.
Let's give him some credit there.
True.
Because he really, outside of the core group, there were probably only about a dozen other people on that ship.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had fewer people than when they set out at the beginning of 2.
Yeah, true.
So
you got to give him that. But I mean, still, the Klingons were unimportant. They shouldn't have been there.
Tell the Klingons.
This is one of the rare instances where the movie. Well,
What were you gonna say?
the movie came first,
Yeah,
but
chicken and egg.
it's not a rare instance for a movie to be worse than a book. That's not rare. What is rare is for the canon to be worse than the Apocrypha. Do you follow my reasoning there?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Like,
let me say,
it's the animated series example.
yeah,
The animated series was so bad that it took them 40 years to finally accept it as canon.
yeah.
Yeah.
But but in this instance, the novelization of the story included a few things like it should not have taken them like a day to get to the galactic barrier from Nimbus 3. It should have taken like at least a few weeks.
Right. Even going like warp 9.
Yeah. And it should have been really, really hard to get through the barrier, and it was just like, "Oh, let's just go through.
Yeah, like they got there and it's like, okay, what do we do now?
Exactly. So in the book, they explained that Cybok messed around with the engines and gave them more power to the shield and stuff.
All power to the engines.
Yes, and the Klingons that were following them, they picked up on these things, and and gave it to their ship. So I'm sure it's explained a lot better in the book. I haven't actually read it, but that stuff is all explained, and it's smoothed out, and also in another book. I forgot what it was, but it involves the Q, and this god person is a Q that is named the One, and he was pulled out of the Guardian of Tomorrow, and the Q Continuum imprisoned him on this planet for whatever crimes, I don't even know, and and pretty much disabled him. Like they like made him so he can just appear as a head, and he can't escape this planet, and so yeah. So apparently, he developed these psionic powers so he can reach out to people, but he can't actually leave. So that, I mean, the books in that explain the mythology behind this movie are actually some interesting. They sound like some interesting reads. I actually haven't read them yet. I probably should, but they sound like that they could make this story a whole lot better than it was in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, but and that's one of the things about, when you're going from one medium to another. It's one thing to take a book and then make a movie out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because by its very nature, a book is much more descriptive.
Yeah.
And you have a lot more leeway when you're writing the book.
Mm-hmm.
So when you make the movie, there's everything you need right there, and you can pull out the most important parts and make the movie. Because obviously you can't do everything.
Right.
Look at Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, yeah.
The Lord of the Rings trilogy, if you sit down and watch all of it, it's like 47 hours long
Yeah.
to watch those 3 movies.
Yeah.
And that still doesn't cover but about a quarter of what was in the books.
Yeah. Right.
But when you're going from the movie to the book, you have a whole different opportunity there, because what you can do is you can take the gist of the movie and you can completely write around it
Yeah.
to make it not so shitty.
Exactly.
And they didn't really do that.
In the movie, no, they didn't.
They could have written this better and then produced a good movie.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
could have been a really good movie.
Exactly.
But no, they did it backwards. Don't do
Yeah.
it backwards. Do it correctly.
Yeah.
Then you can make even more money. And then the next movie cannot be shitty. But no. No,
But no, they had to
that's
go-
too much for Paramount.
They had to just do the sloppy effects. They had to do the condensed, crappy storyline, and like Spock coming down in the turbo lift.
Where did Spock even come from?
Right? I mean,
Where did Spock
it was a really big deal to get up to the top of the turbo lift, but here Spock comes down
and
from
Spock
the top.
goes, hello. Like every time you see Spock in this movie, it's like watching Archer with Cyril. Like they just walk in a room and Cyril's just sitting there and he goes, hello. That's what Spock did this entire movie.
Yeah.
When Kirk is rock climbing at the beginning, here comes Spock. When Kirk and Bones are climbing through the turbo shaft, here comes Spock. When he gets beamed aboard the Klingon ship,
Hello.
there's Spock. It's like, is Spock just everywhere? He's just hanging out. Like,
Yeah.
he just doesn't even care.
Yeah.
Spock phoned this entire movie in because he could. He had no responsibility whatsoever.
He directed
didn't
the
have
last
to.
movie, and now he's like, okay, now I'm just
He's
gonna
like,
relax.
he's like, I'm done. No, I'm good. Just let me do my thing, and that's fine.
Oh my gosh. But no, it just goes to show that this could have been a good movie, but they just slopped it out.
They did.
I don't think I'm gonna go through the plot because that's just they went and found God
And he's not
and he's
God.
not God.
And there were Klingons
And they were
there.
Klingons for some reason.
Ta-da!
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. I wish I
well,
could have remembered the name of the guy from Megas 2. The Satan guy. Lucian. Oh,
Lucian.
Lucian. I wish I could remember that during the movie. I could have made a reference, but oh well.
That's all right. So we've seen God and the devil now.
Yeah.
So now we have undiscovered country.
Ooh.
Ooh,
You know, I think they named this The Final Frontier because they thought it was going to be the last movie.
I think they did.
But then they
And
decided, hey,
then
let's
there
make
was the
another.
undiscovered country,
Yeah.
which is isn't that just sort of a roundabout way of saying Final Frontier? Like, isn't Frontier
Maybe.
technically undiscovered country?
It's a reference to something. I don't remember what it is, though.
Here, let's find out. We got the time.
Hooray, internets.
Yeah, but I just The Undiscovered Country was initially planned as a prequel to the original series,
Oh, really?
with younger actors portraying the crew of the Enterprise while attending Starfleet Academy. Yeah, hey, spoiler alert, J.J. Abrams is going to pick up on that concept in a couple decades.
Yeah.
Let's see. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Let's see. The Final Frontier, the previous film in the series, was a critical and financial disappointment. No. um. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it's really saying here.
It's like some kind of Shakespeare reference. I wish I could remember. Maybe someone. Maybe some Shakespearean theme. Yeah.
Oh God, that's right. He does come back in that.
Who does?
David Warner comes back.
In
He's one of the Klingons.
David Warner.
He was the Federation rep that got kidnapped.
Oh.
Master Control.
Yes. Okay.
He's one of the Klingons.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so this movie sucked, but hey,
congratulations on sticking with it.
yeah. But hey, guess what? Next week we're watching the last original series motion picture.
Woo!
We're watching the Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. Let's see.
In which Kirk does not trust Klingons.
Go figure. Did we have any messages in the magical box?
Nope.
You guys need to leave us magical box messages because magical box. I mean, ta-da. Let's see.
Yes, hailing frequencies are open.
At 513 asterisk. That's 513-278-7475.
It's down here if you're watching on video.
Yeah, it's down there. Right there. I totally fingered it.
Congratulations.
I think. Okay.
After we watch the movie next week, we will have a 4-week break.
Is it 4 weeks?
Yes.
Let's
We
see.
went through this last time.
I can't count. Yes, we will be off for 4 weeks because I've got school and worky stuff that I've got to get caught up on.
Yes.
And then I will be out of town for like 2 weeks of that.
Yes.
Um,
And then we will come back on Fridays.
we will be back on Fridays, and we're gonna dive right into the next generation. And which is, I think it's appropriate that we have our new studio now, so we can
Yeah.
kind of test it out
Yeah.
and get it ready. Because
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing really to get ready. Nothing's really changed except the TV. But
Right.
hey, new studio!
Hooray.
Hooray for our new TV. Let's see what else. Big announcement.
Yeah.
So I know no one has this yet, but this will be relevant when we come back from break, because on October 26th, Windows 8 will be launching. Ooh. For those of you who get Windows 8, or if you have it now through some other program, the official Green Asterisk app will be in the store starting tomorrow. So you'll be able to keep up with stuff that's going on the blog. You'll be able to see all of the latest tweets from both Steve and the official Green Asterisk account. And you'll be able to find all the different ways to contact Steve. So huzzah for that. And I made it, so hooray me.
And he's got one too, but
I've got one
he's
too
got a
in there
thing.
somewhere. It's look, yeah, yeah, whatever. nobody nobody really cares.
Oh, I think that's it.
I think that is it.
So until next week, remember to help control the tribble population.
Have your tribble spayed or neutered.
Live long and prosper.
Goodbye, everybody.